Right. Good evening and hello. How are you? It's so unusual. It's so unusual for. All right, so. Dalit. We're holding in Seif Aleph on the pasuk. Vatem tiyuli maleches kohanim v'goy kodesh. You will be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the things that you will speak to Bnei Israel. That's the pasuk that the Torah is based on.
Is that a Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, Friday.
אנגליזי?
לא.
אתה שהתחלנו בשבת, מוצא שבת.
כן, אני יודע, כן, היה לי מיניות.
למה זה ככה? שנייה. זה עושה לי קונצים. It's interesting. Video. I'm not sure how this is done, but we'll have to learn. I apologize. Okay. Eventually something will have to be done about this. So we said, Cherpa Shavra Libi, that shame has shattered my heart. Elo Cherpa V'Bizyonis, these are humiliations, this is derision, it's a shame. And we said that this is, whenever there's a Ahavas Tovas, there's a good love. There's the love between you and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ultimately, everything, any kind of love that anybody has, ultimately, is the love between you and the Kodesh Baruch Hu that is borrowed, transferred, proxy to somebody else. Popcorn, your wife, wine, whatever it is, whatever it is, you love this, you love that, whatever it is, basically, it's Ahavas Hashem, it's a love that you love Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that fell into that thing. Now, Ahavas Tovos, these are good loves. This is, but things that get you, ultimately to the love of Hashem. Ahavas Tovos is loves that drive you away from Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the thing is that, as we mentioned, I believe, I hope, last time, we mentioned that the very, very top, the world was created for pleasure. At the very, very top, we have Oinig. Oinig is the highest level that there is. On the very, very bottom, we have Nega, leprosy. That's the harshest, the hardest tumor that there is tumas mitzera. Because even tumas mes, the mice say tumas mes, you have to take a dead person outside of the three machnas. Say no, that's what can you do? But mitzera all the way outside. As we mentioned, that is in Sipur Maisis Ben Melech, that is comprised of precious gems, that when the sister is casting a spell of leprosy on him. So it says that he got leprosy all over. It says leprosy on his nose, leprosy on his face, leprosy all over his body. Why is this? On his nose, his face, all over the body, all over the body. What is this progression? The answer is that leprosy on the nose, leprosy bechlav, causes a skil d'nahola ilah. It means the supernal light is blocked off, is cut off from supernal light, or upon him. That's leprosy. That's why it is the harshest possible tumor there is, because you're totally cut off from the or upon him, which is the ultimate goal of everything. That's the point of the whole exercise. A leper is sgir than law. So when you have a leprosy on the nose, means that there is a crust on the nose. Rabbeinu says nose, and Torah says this is Bavicho B'Yechas Hashem. That's your Shemayim. Which means that when somebody who is a Pchinas Ben, a Tzaddik Pchinas Ben, the people of the Tzaddik, they want to be Pchinas Ben. And Pchinas Bas is what you call linear. We said this linear Tzaddikim. Oh Hashem, the Torah, the Kempaskan Torah, that's Tzaddikim Mamish. I'm not talking about, look, I'm not talking about Mamish Tzaddik. I'm talking about real Tzaddikim. But they are, regular Tzaddikim. Rabbeinu said, that's not what I meant. You are Ehrliche people. That's not what I meant. That's not what I want from you. I wanted you to be like animals that are roaring in the forest all night long. God was full with such kisufim, such longings. In other words, that's the question that Rav Abraham asked me today over the telephone about the Indian that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is mazmin la'odom machshov adibur v'maisa b'chol yom, and he sends hints in them. So without getting into the technicalities of things, but the thing is that when you are a tzaddik pchinas bat, it means that's your profession. This is what you do. That's your Indian in life. You're a rabbi, all right? Or you're from Yid, okay? You know, you go to shul, you return, whatever it is. This is it. But where's the Kadosh Baruch Hu in this whole thing? Moshe Weinberger had an interview in Mishpacha magazine together with Chaim Kramer, and he said something, very very controversial. He said that he said that Jewish people, I mean the frum people, to Orthodox people, I'm talking about Frank people, said they don't get along with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. They can't get used to the idea of Kadosh Baruch Hu. What do you do with it? You know what you do with the rabbi, you know what you do with Torah, you know what you do with mitzvahs, you all these things, but what you do with the Kadosh Baruch Hu? First of all, where is he? Well, maybe he's in the siddur, he's in the shul. In a time of need, maybe he's in Tehillim. But where is he in your life? Somewhere in the pedestal, whatever it is. Everything comes from him and goes back to him, but basically there's no person. There's no personal interaction between you and him. There's no connection. And this is a tzaddik b'chinas bat, and they're doing fantastic things. Don't get me wrong. They have koinelim, they have yeshivas, they have great things, really great things. People come to them to get these sayros, whatever it is. But that's not what I meant. What Baruch Hu was is a tzaddik b'chinas ben. Ben is totally, from Mochav. It means that Dveikus, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, you live with the Kadosh Baruch Hu all the time. Machshava dibur ma'asim, every single day. When you fall off the wagon, can't believe he did this to me. When you glitch, he says, I can't believe he did this. I made a deal with him. I did all the work. And then he canceled on me. When you don't get it, he says, it's all her fault. She's the one that starts everything. Or he's the one who drives me crazy. Which means you lose sight that everything is a control. Now, the whole effort is to get through this union of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is absolutely everywhere. There is 3 levels of loneliness. I think Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg said that. The 3 levels of loneliness. There is a loneliness of lot tov v'yot adam levado. You're all alone. You're not married, whatever it is. It's very, very hard. It's very, very hard. It can eat you up. It's very difficult. Then there's a second level. There's a second level of aloneness where there are plenty of people around you. You're married, you have children, you have this, but nobody cares about you. You feel that nobody cares about you. I mean, they expect from you whatever it is that you can bring to the table. Can be parnasa, can be this, can be that, whatever. But other than that, that's a second kind of loneliness. Yeah, you have people around you, but you don't feel that anybody cares about you. And then there is the ultimate loneliness or aloneness, in which you have people around you and they care about you. but nobody understands it. Nobody understands what you're going through. It's a loneliness where you are alone in your own mind. Everybody else is like a guessing game, what it is that you feel. But basically, you're just like in a desert inside your own head. Hello, oh. There's nobody there, you know. Living with a Kadosh Baruch Hu means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is, you're with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, B'Gashmis, with the Kadosh Baruch Hu that he cares about you. And that's what Kadosh Baruch Hu is in your mind. He's with you in your mind. He understands you. He's the only one who understands you. You don't understand you. You're hooked on your own story. I mean, your parents tried to do the best they could for you. Yeah, but it did this and did that and this, and my father's fault is this. He never did anything good. Yeah, no, but the good we take for granted, but the bad we remember forever and ever and ever. I can't believe my mother forgot about it. My father, how many times he stood me up? How many times just like what do you think? He was a human being just like you are. He also was misunderstood. He was also lonely in his own head. He knew that he did the best thing he could for you. Yeah, but I remember those bad things that he did, or the things that you should have had and didn't do, whatever. That's the thing. It takes time to actually take a look at your own parents and realize that what you see yourself in your own head is basically your story. You don't see what reality was. Be down them, your parents are kavschos. They really did the best they could. You know, some of us come from divorce homes, whatever it is. Do you realize how difficult it was for them? You know, for your mother to be all alone, for your father have visitations. Sometimes he could, suddenly he couldn't. What? To look back with Rahmanas, look at the good stuff I got. Look at the good stuff I got. But inside my own head, you know, I really have to sort of like shift the furniture. So I can sort of like, you know, Kadosh Baruch Hu is that he knows, he understands completely. In a sense, completely. He really understands completely. He understands where you are. He says where you're coming from. And ultimately, whenever it is that you take Hashem's love and you're trying to basically entertain yourself, you're trying to like, you know, like rub a place that hurts kind of thing. Basically, this is all Averos are. We're basically trying to, you know, assuage pain or get ourselves over, especially, you know, boundaries. That supposedly is the international antidepressant. And there's nothing more depressing than that. It's the same thing with everything, with any addiction. It could be alcohol, it could be drugs, could be anything. You know, why are you doing it? Because it works for a little while. And afterwards, you know, then you get desensitized and you can't live with it, and you can't live with it, and you can't live without it. It doesn't work anymore. The shame is breaking my heart. And you're going around with a broken heart. A broken heart is a heart that is desensitized to ruchnius, to Likutey. You're going around, you're broken, and you can't even talk to this one. You can't open things up. You're sitting there. Supposed to talk to Hashem. What about? It's like the old times that they said somebody interviewed a baseball player called Yogi Berra, where they said, like, I'm going to give you a name, and you said the first thing that comes to your mind. about this person. So he says, okay. Says Mickey Mantle. Says, what about it? It's maintenance. Yeah, what about it? What do you want about it? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, like, whatever I really want to talk about is not important. And whatever I need to talk about, I'm not interested. Oh, Shem, be McCarthy to you. Shem, get me closer to Tzaddik. Almost sounds like a laughter from the Muppet Show. It's like, well. Rabbeinu says the tikkun to that. This is what we finished last year. The tikkun you connect your heart to the point that is relevant to you at this particular point in time. So the way we said it is that we have, as Rabbeinu will say, there are actually three nekudas. It takes a bigger support system than just you looking into yourself and being a cautious. It is, as Rabbeinu will say, there is a nekudas tzaddik where everybody receives from, and then there is nekudas achader. There's nekuda what a person gets from his friend, and then there is a nekuda between a person and himself, between you and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the thing that we finished the last time is that the best way to open up the connection between the Kodesh Baruch Hu and yourself, if you see that things don't work, you're sitting there and you feel all estranged, is to talk about the things that are negate to you right now. Those things that you say are really important. And nevertheless, that is the thing that you should be talking about. For instance, you start by saying, today I went and somebody really stiffed me. And it hurt me. I'm not saying it. I know it's from you. I'm not, I know it's from you. I know that it's for my best and everything else. And I'm really supposed to keep us, stiff upper lip kind of thing. And I'm supposed to, bothered by it or whatever it is. Well, I'm bothered by it. I really am, And what should I tell you? Should I make, present it as if it doesn't hurt me? It does. It did. It hurts me. And I feel unwanted. I feel rejected. I feel like, as hard as I work, maybe I'm like I'm not appreciated. Not I'm a stranger in my own home, I'm a stranger in my own mind. It's like, and when you start talking like this, it's easier to get the heart into your diburim. You realize, I realize that this is not what I should be talking to, ideally, that this is now what's, but I don't have any way to get to you. Rabbeinu said to one of his Mekarabim, people that were close to him, that before he make his Breslove, he should spend a whole hour longing for Kodesh Baruch Hu. This person, this one person, a whole hour. And you say, but this is not for everybody. That one person, Father, you say, 15 minutes. And Russell says 15 minutes, but again, in this generation, you can sit for 15 minutes. And during that time, you'll be wondering, how did the Yankees do? How many trucks trucks are passing along the road if you happen to be outside in the field. Yeah, it's like a that birds. Is there anybody in the trees? And you can spend a whole hour just, really like floating around, really longing for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So a way to do it, a way to get over this is to start talking about the things that you care. So, I realize, that I'm not what I'm supposed to be. And if I keep quiet, my mind will just drift to whatever. So that's, Sham Nichnasim. This is where you get into. This is how things go. So, and the same thing is from the Chaver. You receive from the tzaddik this incredible hashpah that you need to look at as well. It's a relentlessness. There's nothing else, is there? Yeah, things will get you off track. It can be money problems, can be shalom bayis problems, can be, taking care of the children, whatever it is. The set of things will, whatever it is that gets you off track, but nevertheless, that kind of drive all the time that, yeah, but what about HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Yeah, but how, what the thing that bothers me, that I'm far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is the Nekudas HaTzadik. It doesn't let go. You're here for a purpose. You're here for a purpose. And the tzaddik shines to you. He's in Yonim. And you get the aura. Then you have to go to Chaver. You can talk to a friend. We know talking to a friend, the Elohe people, Canaan Har, when they say you're like, they speak about great Yonim and then, today, friends can be, like, I remember once I spoke to Eliyahu Mirav, so I should give him the first name. And by the way, tonight's shir is Le'ilui Nishmas Yosef Ben Mordechai. Yeah, Ali Farkas, this is his yard site. So Yosef Farkas, this is Le'ilui, his Nishana. So I told him, I went and I told him, and I said, I lost my emunah. I feel like. So he told me, it's a Zohar. It's a Zohar? Yeah. Yaakov Avinu. Said, Vayivater Yaakov levado. Before the wrestling match with the angel. And Yaakov was left alone. That says, even HaKadosh Baruch Hu left him. Yeah. You know how much chizuk I got from that? I felt, that's it. I'm toast. I'm gone. My goose is cooked. What are we going to do? And a good friend, Nekudas HaChaver told me, it's a Zohar, Yaakov Avinu went through exactly the same thing. Wow. How much chayes that gave me. Can you imagine? I went through the same thing many, many, many years ago. In Bnei Brak, 40 some odd years ago. Daven in Yom Kippur in Breslove, Alshich. And we came out of shul, and I go with Simcha Balev, and I told him, I don't know if I believe. I don't know. He says, Shalom Aleichem Netzahara. Okay. Because the first choice is you're not good. You're not good. You're not good. Everybody else, you forget about it. You're the pits. You should be eating hummus together with Eichmann and Hitler. That's a chshuvah. Yeah, בסדר. Speaking to a chaver means you open up. It's still talking about Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's still talking about how do I get closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's the main nekuda. But you're talking there about, you're saying, like, I can't get along. It's like, a jalopy, I don't know what to do. I can't get out of my own head. There's a Kodesh Atzma. You talking to Kodesh Baruch Hu. And when you're talking to Kodesh Baruch Hu, the main nekuda, when you start talking, you start talking from where you are, because you don't have any other choice. Otherwise, you won't talk about it all. You don't want to talk about anything at all, and your mind wouldn't be there. Just okay, already 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. I have to say for a whole hour, just 10 minutes. So you talk about the things that interest you, and you talk about it, and then you get in. And the thing is that if you don't speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu, once you're in the Kodesh Atzav, Kodesh Achava, you don't speak to Kodesh Baruch Hu, your heart is covered with crust, with cement. You lose touch with who you really are. When you talk to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and you spell it out, you get ha'ara, because Kodesh Baruch Hu answers. It's one of the most important things to remember. It's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. Oh yeah? No, really, how? I get a phone call. How's it working? The answer is, suddenly you see. Suddenly things make sense. Suddenly, all right. When you come to Kodesh Baruch Hu and he says, like, I can't believe it. I keep on doing same old. Every time I promise myself, that's it. I'm not going to do this again. And guess what happens next? I do it all over again. And you go and you talk to Kodesh Baruch Hu about it. You get to a certain point, and suddenly Kodesh Baruch Hu opens up to you. The light of Kodesh Baruch Hu is Shlach Olcha v'amitecha, send your light and your truth. And suddenly you realize that's who you are. It's okay. If I wanted you to be someone else, you would have been someone else. Were you ever different? Let's say that somebody is obtuse. Doesn't get it. What can I do? I don't get it. My wife tells me I don't get it. My kids tell me I don't get it. My parents tell me I don't get it. My friends tell me I don't get it. I never got it. I went throughout my life not getting it. And and you get that something is wrong, like the famous song, something is going on, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? Right? It's like, and suddenly you get an illumination. That's it. Your tough kid is to go through it. It's not getting it. Do the best you can. Try to say like a mole. That's it. You don't have to get it. It's like Shimon Tachman said about the Enough of his Beidadus. I mean, the Enough of Ishtadlus, I'm sorry. There was the whole question of how much Ishtadlus you should do, how much you shouldn't do, whatever it is. So here's a very, very, very interesting havchana about this Enough of Ishtadlus. He says, Ishtadlus is something that you have to do. And the reason why you have to do Ishtadlus is, the real reason, as Rebbe also says that the first reason if the Ishtadlus is so you should Bechira. You do more Ishtadlus, you're getting more, you're doing less, you're not getting. It seems like, the Ishtadlus, you're not getting anything else. We know, Rabbeinu says, you're working for nothing and you're getting everything for free. And Mashiach says your need for Ishtadlus is not bring you your shefa. But if you don't do your Ishtadlus, you're not going to get your shefa. There's no relationship between your Ishtadlus and the shefa. But the point is that you're going to get your shefa. If you do your Ishtadlus, you're not going to Ishtadlus, don't get the shefa. It's a chiyuv. How much? Each one according to his bitochen. More or less, whatever. That's the thing is that when you get to a point where you can no longer do anything, you can't. It's beyond you. The point of everyone that's there of bitochen is, don't worry. What do you mean? Your tafkid is to do hishtadlus. The way that you figured is stabadik. That's a normal hishtadlus for that kind of thing. Today's, going to doctors, not going to doctor, whatever it is, each one according to his, whatever he's dealing with. But if you get to a point where that's it, it's the end of your own. You can't do any more hishtadlus. It's not up to your conscience. Okay. So you don't need to do hishtadlus anymore. Well, you're not. 100% your wife is coming to you, you're not doing enough hishtadlus, 100%. Which is wrong. If you're doing all the hishtadlus that you can, that's it. You don't have to do it anymore. And it's dafka then that when you stop, okay, there's elements. What do you want? I cannot do anymore. If you press on, that's a lack of bitochen. If you feel all despaired, that's a lack of bitochen. If you realize I did what I could, I did what I can. I don't even know what Ishtadlus was. I'm sure that there's some people who could think about gazillion different things you could do if they were in my shoes, but they are not in my shoes. And I don't have the gazillion options. I do whatever's come to my mind, whatever it is, I'm just waiting for Baruch. Okay, so Baruch will come give it to you. That's the interrelationship between you and Baruch. And then, now Rabbeinu starts explaining in Siman Beis, as he's getting into the Nekudas of Tzadik. He's explaining each one of those Nekudas. The authority, the tzaddik has the authority, to move the pieces around the board the way he wants to. As Chazal said on the pasuk tzaddik Moshe Yiras Elokim, Chazal said, "Mi Moshe be tzaddik." Who controls me? Who rules over me? Rather, who overrules me? Rather, the tzaddik. And he goes to Gzera, but tzaddik mevatlu. I make a decree, a tzaddik is mevatlu b'gzera. Zeh b'chinas v'Yosef hu hashalit ad haaretz. Yosef is the shalit. Yosef is the ruler. And the fact, and what is alluded in this, is that tzaddik is the one who is guarding the bris perfectly. This is Pchinas Yosef. Yosef is the, obviously, we all know Shmiras Bris. That's the perfection, Shmiras Bris. Well, and through this, we're Shalit. He is the ruler. He's the one that rules. That he has the Memshala, he has the authority to do polls the way, as he wants. He is the root of all the Shema Yisrael together. And they are his branches. And they all receive from him. Okay, now comes the question, what is Memshala B'yad Tzaddik? What do the Tzaddik rules? What does it mean? Rules for what? For what purpose? It says, Vayikam Memshala, that the Tzaddik has, Lehoyer or L'Israel Libam Fam Yisrael Avodas Hashem. That's where he gets the authority. This is what he needs to do. This is his job. He needs to get the tools for that. If you can affect anything, you can't do your job. Each person gets a job, to do his own particular malacha. The tzaddik, his job is to shine into the heart of the people around him to get him closer to the Baruch. As he said about Moshe Rabbeinu when he benches the tribe of Yehuda, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda, Lamot Elienu, hear Hashem, the voice of Yehuda, and bring him to his nation. What he's talking about is right here, we're saying Yehuda is the tzaddik. The Kadosh Baruch Hu hears the voice of the tzaddik, and he gives them Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda, listen to what the tzaddik wants. And the Ikazim Sholo is Ve'ela Motev Lianu. In other words, you're making connection between him and Kadosh Baruch Hu and his people. The main thing is the tzaddik needs to shine his light into the branches. That the illumination of the tzaddik will come to Am Yisrael, to their hearts, and that will awaken their hearts to come closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's why a person needs to constantly strive to get closer to Tzaddik Emes and to speak with them in Avodas Hashem. And through this, he was going to get the Horah and Eretz Hashem until he will actually B'ezrat Hashem come to Kadosh Baruch Hu B'emes. The Paparos is this over here. Oh, this is Kitzur Kumar. He's saying again. The Paparos is talking about this particular Nakuda, but connecting your heart to the Nakuda shaykh to your heart at this point in time. Likutey Moharan says, the main tikkun, with the connecting your heart to the Nakuda, the shaykh to your heart at this time, there's a lot to talk about that. He says, anybody who wants to go with the Dibur and to look at, at this particular directive with the eye of truth, can get himself to Kadosh Baruch Hu and hold himself by Kadosh Baruch Hu forever, no matter what happens. No matter what happens. A person can get to a point, where he falls into some serious business, some serious mud. Bad stuff. And I mean bad stuff. Very, very harsh areas. Man, that's it. You're going. Not what to talk about. If you have found yourself, each one has his own level where he judges himself. What is considered, I really messed it up this time. The thing to do is immediately to come to Kadosh Baruch Hu and snitch. And tell, I did that. I just did that. And it becomes like a, you don't know what, you can get to a point where you say, okay, I did this, and you go to Kadosh Baruch Hu and you say, I did that, and you come back, and you do it again. And you come back as well, I did it again. And you can become so flustered, because at the end you don't even know if you feel bad because you did it, or you did it in order to feel bad. Because you somehow deserve to feel bad. I don't know. It's like you don't even know what's a chicken and the egg. It's like what's But if you keep on keeping on with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, no matter what happens, you still comment on Kadosh Baruch Hu and says, "This is what I did." There's a story that Simcha Balev told me years ago. You know, they used to have, like many years ago, they used to have in Uman, they used to have a Mishmer Sneas. You guys used to go, you know, some guys used to go to town, wherever it is. And, you know, they would like, I don't know if they spoke that softly, but they sure heck carried a big stick. And there was one guy, every night used to go to town. And every day used to come to the tree and used to cry and cry and cry and cry. At night, he went back to town. In the morning, he would come back and cry and cry and cry. And then I'd go back to town. Nobody touched him. Nobody touched him. Not because they understood the word Hakayzut. They didn't learn. Nobody touched him. So he came out. He went out. When you keep on with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, no matter what happens to you, this is called your Osek B'tshuva. Osek B'tshuva doesn't mean that you succeed. Osek B'tshuva means that you keep on keeping on. That's Pshat Osek B'tshuva. No matter what happens. And eventually one day you come to the Kadosh Baruch Hu and say, let's take the question right now of how bad I am, or how helpless and hopeless I might be, okay? And put it aside. Let's take the question of whether Gehenna is good enough for me or not good enough for me. And just put it aside. Let's leave it for, what am I going to do with this? I keep on doing this. How do I stop? Forget about whether I'm good or I'm bad. Forget, no, look, yeah. Tachlis, what are we going to do? How will I stop that? And suddenly you get to see yourself in a different kind of perspective. You realize that you keep on doing these things, you know, has a lot to do with what you feel about yourself, and what yourself has a lot to do with what you're doing. And they keep on back and forth, you know, this back and forth kind of thing going on. But at a certain point in time, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you, he answers you, and he gives you a different eye to look at yourself. And he says, listen, let's forget about whether you're good or bad right now, okay? Question is, how am I stopping this? You don't want me to do this. I don't want to do this. Mousing. It's mousing. And suddenly you're in a different plane. You're in a different plane, you know? It's a different inyan. The job of the tzaddik is to do this. I remember, it's a story that I told many times. Many years ago, I worked for an organization, a Kiruv organization, very big, very important. And I did some, Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu was Mizak, and I did some very important work for them. They're not Breslove, and Baruch Hashem was so successful that they took the whole office to Shabbaton in a hotel. I was in Arad. Everybody and their families, and they brought together, you know, a darshan, quasi, badchan, quasi, whatever it is. They could tell you terrorists, could tell you jokes, whatever. It was jack of all trades. You keep everybody entertained and everything. There's some very important rabbanim that came there as well. You know, and I was the only person there. So we had Shalashudas on Shabbos says, you know, I wanted to talk. Shalashudas, I wanted to say a shtickle teres, being that was such an important part of that particular thing. But Bakasha, no problem, go ahead. And I learned Terek Kufid Beis, Tzot Asel HaTeva, that by speaking a word of truth, the light of Hashem shines into you. And Rabbeinu says over there that it was stuck in your Parshas Noach, so it's was negate to that. So Rabbeinu says that a person gets messed up and he's in the dark and he's covered, with darkness and he can't see the way out. This is when words of truth will get him out. I talked about Elias and you read this, whatever it is, and I had these really important, and I'm telling you, these are important rabbanim. I'm telling people that they're tzaddikim, they're talking serious, heavy-duty cats. You know what I'm saying? Like really, really, really important people. That the smallest of them is 100 times, 1,000 times more than I. For sure. It's not saying much, I agree, but nevertheless, it's just and I looked in their eyes. They were all listening, very politely. I was boring them to death. What? What are you talking about? What? Yes, you read this. Choshev, dark. What are you talking about? You go, you learn, you do whatever it is. You go to the tish, you go to the rabbi, whatever it is. You do fools. Yes, you read this one. And then I realized, it's then that I realized, if it wasn't for Nekudas HaTzadik, if it wasn't for Rabbeinu, these are all people that are way, way above my pay grade. Way. Yet I'm the one who's talking about, Shtegikus and Avodas Hashem and Aliyas and Yeridus, and they're just finding it like totally bored. I realized that those kisufim are not mine. That's not my craft. If it wasn't for Rabbeinu, I wouldn't be even worthy of washing the offices of where they work, let alone speaking Dibur Emes that the Rebbe doesn't speak. Listen to this. My son, asked me, what's Pshat is Kashas Asadik? Mekushat Rabbeinu, what's Pshat Mekushat Rabbeinu? He says, that kind of drive in your stomach that doesn't let you go. Yeah, I have to get closer to his bone. I have to do it. They make his burdens, and then make his burdens. Why don't I make his burdens? What is it? That's Kashas Asadik. How do you get it? You learn the Likutey Moharan. You can't answer the tzaddik, whatever it is. People think that Kashas Tzaddik is like making a grade. You're supposed to get a minimum of 85 on your test, or you're not because of the tzaddik. That's not the pshat. The Likutey Moharan is infinitely lower than Rabbeinu. These are Rabbeinu's nigla. He had two masfarim. One of them is the Rams is beside. And these stories, there isn't anybody. This is like the Terovetz and Magid says, what should I tell you? Tikkun is there. This is high Tikkun is there. And Tikkun is there is the highest sefer in Judaism. There isn't anything, Sator that is deeper than that. But Russell Lieberman said many years ago, Likutey Moharan is just a shoehorn to get Rabbeinu into you. Yeah, you learn Likutey Moharan, and that puts Rabbeinu in. There's no other way to do it. Okay, so what's it called? You come and say, how much halacha do you have to learn every day? That's what we yeah, how many times do you have to go to Uman, to be considered in the tzaddik? And how much is better is to make it? If you're not making this better than you do what you can. You do what you can. How do you know if you're because of the tzaddik? It's grinding in your stomach. I got. This is my role to get closer to this role. I feel myself that a total busha. That's fine. He says, Why is this a good thing? This is Shavar Libi, it breaks your heart. But there's a flip side to a busha. The flip side is a busha means that you're shaykh to it. You don't get humiliated for something that you cannot do. You don't get cherpa and busha because a bird can fly and you can't fly. You don't feel any bush for that. You're supposed to fly. It's not what's demanded from you. If you feel busha, it means that there's a kesha between you. You're supposed to be doing it, you're not. Busha means that you're shaykh. There's a lot to talk about it, and the hour is getting late. But without Hashem, this is such a different kind of dynamics. When we learn face to face after a year and a half, 2 years of Corona. Baruch Hashem, there's still shulim, in Zoom during the week, other shulim. But this is really great. So that Hashem should help us that we'll be able to connect. Be able to connect to Rabbeinu, be able to remember at all time. But tzlacha is trying, is keeping on. That's tzlacha. Hashem, the neshama of Yosef ben Mordechai, and I think we should look the name should have an aliyah. Ali Farkas is his father, but Hashem. Anybody that can go at 10 o'clock tomorrow to the Mesachaim, be a chesed, obviously to go there. And Bezat Hashem, you should know, because it's interesting to you, that Motzei Shabbos we have the shir in Hebrew. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to be. I think it's going to be in Gimel, no?
It's the place, yeah.
I think so. I think ultimately they want to see if they can go back to Nachafen, or whatever it's called. Not Nachafen, Chazon Ish.
Yeah, the Chazon.
Nachat Chaim is called. Okay, whatever it's they want to see if they can do the shir over there. But we have Monday night, we have shir, we have Monday night, we have shir Kutalachas. I know, Supervises.
In which hour will you begin Motzei Shabbat?
Now, Motzei Shabbat is going to be 9:15 because we have Sichos Aran and Sipurei Baal Shem Tov on Zoom at 8. So right after all right. And Wednesday we're learning Terech Beis, and here we'll learn Terech Dalet. So in between, that Hashem. Matzliach, that Hashem, because both of them exactly each and every one has to be an Uman of Shoshana with Hashem. Kan be able to Shkoyach Gadol.
Next Thursday.
What? Yes.
Here.
Yeah,
Next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday with Hashem. Okay, how do you start the recording? Hold on. Recording stop.